Hello, welcome to another Study Skills blog. My name is Lauren, Study Skills Advisor here at Organised, and today we're talking about time management. Time management is one of the most important skills that you learn at university, but it's also the one that we can often struggle with the most. Time management, it's something that you have to kind of keep working at your entire university career and beyond. Unfortunately, time management is not necessarily something you just magically get better at when you get older, which I was kind of hoping would happen when I was younger. It's something that I have to constantly retrain myself and have to be really vigilant about, and it's honestly probably going to be the same for you. When I was an undergrad, I was not amazing at time management. I was okay, but I could definitely have improved. As a postgrad, I did get a little bit better because I had to. And now that I'm at work, honestly, I have some really good days sometimes, but I also have some bad days. The important thing that I've learned is that time management is a constant work in progress. It's something that I need to recheck in with myself about all the time, that I need to stay on top of, that I need to keep retraining myself at. And so for you, don't be afraid to fail at it. If you do, pick yourself up and have another go at it. One of the reasons that time management can be so difficult is that humans are notoriously bad at estimating the required amount of time that we're needed for any given task, even if we've done that task before, and even if it's something we do literally every day, like how every morning I find myself running 5 minutes late, no matter what. I don't know why. Why don't I get better at it? This means we often underestimate how much time we need to complete a given task. And so when you're planning an essay, for example, this might mean you're likely to think that you have more time than you actually have to complete it, that you'll use your time more effectively, and that you'll take less time to complete it than you will. It turns out it's not necessarily the amount of time that we have to complete an assignment that leads to better outcomes. It's the amount of control and management that we feel that we have over that time. When we're organized and make plans, we feel less overloaded. So not only does this benefit us by keeping us on track, it has huge impacts on our stress level. And when we don't feel overwhelmed, we can concentrate much better. So then the question is, how do we do this? The first important thing is to get organized. The recommended amount of study for each topic is 6 to 8 hours outside of classroom time. So with your contact hours included, that brings us to like 8 to 10 hours a week per topic, which is a full 40-hour full-time workload. So to manage all this, spend a little bit of time thinking about how you have organized yourself and your time in the past. Have you used diaries? Have you used calendars, semester planners, online trackers, to-do lists? Think about what was effective for you in the past and what you think might be effective again for you in the future. You might like to consider a daily planner, a weekly planner, a bullet journal, or a digital planner. Whichever method you use though, I definitely recommend that you get one of these, a semester planner. You can pick them up from FUSA, from the library, or from us here at Organised. I really like to advocate for having an idea of the big picture and the nitty-gritty details, which is why I suggest getting yourself one of these semester planners and then also utilizing something like a weekly journal. This way you can see the big overarching semester, when are those big key dates? So when are your due dates? When are the holidays and the weekends? But you can also see week by week what you need to do, because your schedule will change a little bit, particularly as the semester will fluctuate in terms of how busy you are, depending on when your assessment's due. Personally, I would be lost without my Outlook calendar. Like I literally wouldn't know where I was supposed to be every hour of the day if I didn't use my Outlook calendar. But for a long time before that, I used a weekly diary. It's important to consider how effective your previous methods have been. So personally, I know that my weekly diary often ended up languishing at the bottom of my bag. And I think one year it even started to like grow something weird on it. I think I maybe spilled some water on it at one point. But basically my point is I didn't use it. And so I needed to find a new method, which is when I switched to digital calendars. And this is something that has been working for me for a few years now. So figure out what works for you and use it effectively. The next one is blocking time. So once you've got your calendar, I want you to really think about how each hour of your day is used. So this includes blocking out your contact hours at uni and remembering also to consider other commitments. So map out times when you play sport, when you have family commitments, when you go to the gym, when you have work responsibilities, social events. All of these things are important to consider because they will eat up your time just as much as your study will. You'll notice that your calendar will fill up pretty quickly, but you'll also notice you have these little pockets of time. And it's important to be aware of this because this will give you a realistic picture of the actual amount of time that you have in any given week to do your study. So for example, it might be like a Thursday and you're thinking, oh, you know what, I've got like sport practice tonight, so that essay that I'm working on, I'll write my draft on the weekend. On the weekend, I've got a whole full 2 days, brilliant, smash out my draft, it'd be great. But what you've forgotten about is the fact that on the weekend, you also have a netball game, you have a family barbecue, you have a friend's birthday party, and you probably maybe you're hungover a little bit on Sunday morning, and suddenly the weekend is gone and you haven't written your draft. Whereas if you make sure you map out everything, so not just your study, but also those social and life commitments, you're gonna have a much more realistic idea of your time. The next step is to set goals. Now, setting goals is important because it allows us to focus on, again, that big picture and the nitty-gritty details. For example, your semester goal might be that you want to achieve a distinction for the topic. That means that your weekly goals will be to finish a particular assignment on time, and your daily goal might be to read a couple of articles, to make some notes, or to finish writing an essay plan. Remember that each of your small goals is going to build towards the big picture goal, and all of these build towards your overall goal, which I can only imagine is successfully completing uni, right? So to help with all of this, get out that planner and map your goals. So for example, you may want to begin with all of your assignment due dates. Note those in your semester planner and your diary, and then go backwards. Consider the length and weighting of each assignment. So for example, if you have a 2,000 word essay, you might go back 3 weeks and include a start date. So that's your first weekly goal for that week. Start that assignment. But then you can break these up into even smaller goals. So you might choose to write a start date in, have a date for completing the research for that assignment, have a date for completing a plan for that assignment, have a date for writing a draft, for editing, for doing your referencing. Breaking your work up into smaller chunks, into these little goals, makes them much, much more manageable, and it helps you keep track of your progress. But be wary, if you start an assignment too early, you sometimes don't have all of the required topic knowledge and you can end up doing some unnecessary work. So again, be realistic, use your common sense. 3 to 4 weeks is a really good gauge of how early to start something. And remember that these things can be flexible. Things will come up that will surprise you. You might find yourself going down a different pathway after doing some research. You might need to revise your plan, or you might have a life thing come up. Maybe you got sick, or maybe you were asked to babysit your little brother on a night that you weren't expecting. So just remember that if you plan in advance, you've got that time to allow for this kind of flexibility. And also, like I said, don't be afraid that if you fall off the wagon, if you have a bad day where you procrastinate and you'll get full of distractions and you haven't completed your work, it doesn't mean the whole thing's going to fall apart. Just pick yourself up, try again, write a new list, write some new goals, put some new dates in your calendar, and get back on the horse. So that's all for part 1 of time management. In part 2, the next blog, we're going to be talking about some things to avoid, namely procrastination. So stick around for that one.